Definitely. Our techs we don't have a lot of turnover in our techs. And it's definitely been something where when people are interviewing or they're coming aboard, they're like, wow, this is very different, or they're in a good way. And it is talked about in the area.
Ashley, Sowell, welcome to Diesel Stories. Would you mind giving us and our audience a brief introduction of yourself?
I'm Ashley Sowell, and me and my husband own Integrity Fleet Services here, based out of Conroe, Texas. We currently are servicing about 21 locations that are along the Gulf East region, and we have about 28 more to go within the next couple of years. We started this business about 6 years ago. It'll be 6 years in May. And we really started this to be a company where not only did we want to be, but other people wanted to be, because we spend most of our times with our coworkers versus our own family. So if you're not loving where you're going, and you're spending time away from your family, to us, it just didn't make sense. So we really wanted to start something where we felt home just as much as our employees did. That way we could actually be happy in what we're doing with all the time that we spend in there.
And that's what I'd like to ask you about today is shop culture. It seems to be a catchphrase that a lot of people use, but nobody really talks about what does shop culture mean. And it seems like there's so much emphasis in the industry. Every shop owner I talk to, all they talk about is I can't hire. And I'd really like to talk to you about culture and how has that helped you retain and recruit technicians? Have you been able to build a culture where people want to work there?
Yes, because the main thing is the reason people can't hire is because either technicians are where they are already liking and want to be and they stay because they're loyal, or they're the ones that are bouncing around because they're looking for that home, that shared value, that shared vision, something they believe in, or to where they have so many things that they love about it that even if it wasn't perfect, the culture or the people becomes what they're loyal to and somewhere they don't want to leave. So that's what we wanted to kind of create, was just something where people came in and were like, why would I ever leave? And then they would tell their friends about it, word of mouth, because that's the other thing. If you are known for a bad culture, or if you're known for a bad shop to work for, it definitely gets around.
So how are you doing that? What's your philosophy on building a culture in your shop?
We do that in several ways. We have all kinds of like gamified things. We make sure that there's incentives that match the culture we want to be. There's something you already want them to do, but now there's incentive for them to do it. And it's something that they like anyway. So if they got certifications, they get to put their name in the raffle. And we do raffles every quarter, and then at the end of the year, we do big raffles. So if they did a bunch of certifications, then they're getting their names in there all these times. If they get a good review and they're named in that review, they're getting tickets in that raffle. If they wash their truck, and they have like a streak of, the best truck, then they get to have bragging rights and get their name in. We have the heavyweight that we have, like literally you have this heavyweight belt made to where we do every month based on their numbers and their manager's vote and stuff like that. Kind of like Tech of the Month, but we kind of use numbers and different things to include in who gets picked. They get their name in the raffle and they get bragging rights with the belt, and they get to keep the belt until the next person takes it. So there's lots of ways that we try to incentivize things that we already want in our culture, but it gives them a sense of feeling like they're involved too. And then they're rewarded for it.
So have you seen that having this positive culture, has it helped your retention? Has it helped your recruiting efforts?
Definitely. Our techs we don't have a lot of turnover in our techs. And it's definitely been something where when people are interviewing or they're coming aboard, they're like, wow, this is very different, or they're in a good way. And it is talked about in the area. So we think we do okay with that.
I know that that's something interesting. When I ran my shop, we did something weird that nobody else did. All of our technicians literally went across the street to grandma's house every day for lunch because we bought her house across the street. But what was really interesting is you'd have people come interview for a job and they knew who you were. It wasn't that they knew who you were because they Google searched you. They knew who you were because there was word of mouth. Oh, you're that shop that feeds everybody lunch every day. And I know not every shop owner can do that, but do you have any tips for shop owners of what are some basic things they can start with? Like, how do you start this? Because I know so many shop owners, they're just so focused on fixed trucks. I don't have time to worry about this. But I think if you think about how many hours a week you spend recruiting people, how many hours a week you spend trying to interview and read resumes. So what tips do you have to start with culture? Something anybody could do.
And just make it a priority. Set it up like you would set a standing meeting. If you know just for at least once a week, you want to do something that shows your appreciation or shows that you want to ignite that culture. It doesn't even have to be monetary. It could be simple things as bragging rights. Like when we started out, we didn't have all the money in the world to do all these things. So we started out with this little kingpin, and it was just for bragging rights. And the guys loved it. They would sign their name on it every time they got it. And they would sign over each other's names, and then it was just a fun thing that they did. But it started the trend of getting people involved and caring about what they do. And it also shows them that they're not just a number. They're not just a profit margin. That they matter in the company too, because you're setting that time aside specifically for them to showcase them and show them that what they're doing matters. And I think that's so, so important. Everyone wants to feel valued. Everyone wants to feel like they're a part of something. So if you take the time to show them they are, that's something you can't really buy or sell. That's something that's built in.
I think that's a valid point. I think shop owners, if they're worried about culture, a good starting point is, like you said, just schedule time to work on it. Like schedule some of your executive time to work on how to build that culture. And that's actually a really good point. If money's tight in a shop and you're trying to improve it, it doesn't really cost you any money to recognize. Like if you actively make it an everyday thing, right, to try to recognize someone or try to do that, it is basically a free way to do it. Do you have any feedback from people when they come and interview? Like, are people coming in and they know who you are because of your culture?
People have said that they've heard that we do these things, or where's this thing, or they want to see the belt, or, things like that. It's been a few. Our crawfish bowls, that's very well known. So, we do well as far as the word of mouth thing. It's just, and I think more importantly on the positive side, because everyone, when there's a negative aspect about a shop, everyone's going to know real quick. But it says something when it's a positive thing, because it's usually takes a lot of word of mouth to get that positive going through versus whether it was something negative. So every little aspect of them knowing those things already is a win, because that means we are doing something right in that aspect.
How has your positive shop culture affected your customers? Or do you feel that spills into your customer base too?
Oh, definitely. If you're happy at where you work, then you're going to have a more positive outfacing, whether you're talking to vendors, customers, whoever. When you're happy in what you're doing, it definitely bleeds over in the aspect of it's going to show, because you're going to be more willing to do more things. You're going to do those extra steps. You're going to go out of your way. You're going to make sure that all of these things are happening and they're positive experiences because you're feeling those positive experiences, if that makes sense.
You're right. It's absolutely, it's a valid point. I think the first time I ever went to a Chick-fil-A was an example of that. I'm like, how in the world can you go to a place that's a fast food restaurant and people are happy? Like I've never met, and it was in an airport, and you go to the airport and everybody that works there seems like they hate their job. And it's like a fresher breath air. You go to this restaurant, and how is it possible people making this little amount of money can have this culture where they're so happy? And I think that's a great point. Like it doesn't cost money to have a good culture. It's not an expense. And I think it does spill into your employees. And when your employees are happy, that shows to the customers. So yeah, I think that's a really important thing.
I feel like also if you have a bad culture, it also shows, to your point, you go in and they're, what can I help you with? Or, oh yeah, that is going to that's going to cost you money. That's going to cost you customers if they're unhappy. No one wants to feel like they're a burden. So if they're upset about their job, and that definitely bleeds over too. So it costs you money to have a negative culture. It costs you employees to have a negative culture. It costs you vendors. It costs you customer. It costs you anybody that's customer facing or dealing with any type of relationships. If you have a bad culture and your people have bad attitudes, that's going to cost you money in the end. It's also going to cost you those employees as well, because they're going to jump at the next opportunity.
So how do you maintain shop culture through the chaos, through the growth? Like you've experienced quite a bit of growth, and I'm sure that brought chaos. How are you staying true to your culture through that growth?
It's just making sure that that is prioritized, that we're making time for it. If things get too hectic and busy, we make sure we schedule it. There are standing things that we do, like our company birthday. We always do something, crawfish boil, potluck, whatever. Christmas, we do something. There's certain times where we make sure that there is time allotted for that. We also use a lot of because a lot of our stuff is remote too, because we have people everywhere. So Teams is one of our biggest things. We use praise on there. So we make sure that we're always praising. And if there's good reviews, we let everybody know, hey, this person got a good review. Whatever programs or ways we can use to keep people together, then we want to make sure we're doing that. Oh, and the walkies, like at our shop, we do use walkies to, for communication, but you can feel that culture in there because they got little handle names, they make little jokes throughout the day, or, hey, I'm kicking his butt on this welding thing, or, so those are also ways that we try to, although it's very serious and we do care that we're getting stuff out, it can't be so serious to where it suffocates people or suffocates their shine. People still need to be themselves and feel comfortable in what they're doing, because again, it does make them a lot happier and a lot more productive and more willing to do things where most people are like, at 5 o'clock, I'm out.
Right. And I think that's a valid point too. When you build a culture like that of understanding and a culture of fun, gamification, I think is the phrase you used. It seems like it's easier to ask people to do things extraordinary. Like, hey, can you stay an extra hour so we can get this thing done? And it just seems like they're so much more open to doing that, which really leads into that, that customer service, and the quality that you produce. And it's just an amazing thing to watch some businesses when the culture change, how quickly the numbers change, right? Like efficiencies.
Yes.
People's happy, efficient technicians are very profitable technicians.
Yes. Celebrate the successes also. Everyone's very quick to point out when things are bad or when things went wrong, or, hey, we didn't do this in time, or, hey, we failed this. It's really important to celebrate the wins, no matter how small. Every win is worth mentioning. Every win is worth celebrating, because again, that's what we're here for, is the wins. And it's very easy to focus on negative. It's very difficult to make time for the positives, and we just have to make that a habit.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, I know you're pretty passionate about the trades, and I know you're really passionate about training. Tell me about that.
I definitely feel like there needs to be more education and awareness with skilled trades in general. I know a lot of the schools, and I found this out kind of talking with Jay and Wrenchway, that a lot of these schools, when we were talking to schools, a lot of the places are closing down their technical stuff, their shops, and even other like woodworking and things that they used to have in schools. They're closing them because there's not enough interest, which really is because most parents don't even know about these classes or courses. And when they do, they don't realize that how lucrative these trades can actually be. So in their mind, it's hard work. You don't make money. Why would you waste your time with that? Go to college, get a degree. Go to college, get a degree. And so that is beat into every child's head from the minute they're in elementary up to where eventually we're going to run out of technicians. We're going to run out of electricians or plumbers or whatnot. So I think it's very important that we really start, as shop owners in this industry, really start getting involved with these things with schools, training programs, internships. There's a lot of schools that do have the programs or in need, held classes. I mean, eventually we want to do like an internship to where we give them their starter tools. And as long as they go through the program and they pass the program, they get first shot at the job. Or if not, however we can do to make, to get this trade back in the spotlight of it's important. And again, it's a very lucrative profession. And I just don't think a lot of people know that. There's a lot of misinformation on it.
I think they don't. And I think a lot of it is our culture as a whole has done exactly that. So even my son, when he was 18 and he was a senior in high school, they had already shut down the automotive program in our school. And, we asked about it. And they said, oh, well, that's what college is for. You have to go to college to learn a trade. And so he tried that, right? He tried to go to the local technical college. There was a 2-year wait list just to get into a technical school. Now, if that school is only graduating 20 students a year, how are we ever going to have enough people to do these tasks that need to be done? And you're right. Some of these jobs are just amazing what they pay. I mean, if you look at the labor statistics, the average technician pay has increased significantly more than the economy has. It's way above it. And I think there is some things that are getting done. Like, you look at what Steve Rowe's done with the Dirty Jobs broadcast. He talks about that a lot. I know there's a story on there where he talks about the millionaire septic tank guy that everybody ignores, but the guy's a millionaire. And I think there is. I mean, there's a lot of really good money in it, and it's a very rewarding job if you can get into it. But I think that's happened to our culture. There's become this counterculture against any kind of blue collar work, even to the point where, for a while in our vocabulary, the word apprentice disappeared. It just completely disappeared from our vocabulary for a good 20, 30 years. It just was never talked about. And I went through an apprenticeship program when I started. I started the day I turned 18 working for the city. And I went through a true apprenticeship program through the union, through the Department of Labor. And those don't even exist anymore. Like, they're gone.
Nope. And again, it's because there's so much misinformation about our industry in general, too. Like, if you were to go and look up what does the average technician make, it says like 40 to 60,000. That is so. I don't know what technicians they got, but that is definitely not what our techs make.
Yeah, our shop we had when we were running it was a little 4-bay shop in a 2-street town in Cumming, Iowa, and our average technician was making $80,000 a year.
Our techs make average 120 to 160 a year.
Right.
I mean,
that's high level, and they're doing that with what, probably their first year on the job. They're probably hitting pretty close to that. Right.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's a culture of that. But one of the things that I'm actually passionate about is more formal education. So my wife and I actually started a technical college as a result of my son not being able to get into that diesel program. And I am a believer, though, that I think that we do need more education. I think we need more education on the fundamentals. I think every shop owner and most business owners would agree that a lot of people that come in don't have the fundamentals. I mean, I think every shop owner in the country would say, I wish I had someone that was better at electrical, right? And some of those fundamentals are taught in trade schools and the technical schools. And it is, you can learn it on the job, but it's harder. And so that is really something I'd like to see as well. Like, I agree with you. There just needs to be better awareness on the trades and some of the formal training.
And that kind of feeds into the culture aspect as well, because even if you were a shop that most shops are in a position where they need the skill right now. Right. They don't have time to train. They don't have time to intern or anything like that. But as we get deeper into these years and we're the trade's kind of disappearing a little bit, we need to find a way to be able to do something about it, whether it's more courses more readily available in these trades or holding our own classes to teach the fundamentals outside of, regular business, to where we're helping the solution instead of just complaining that we can't find it.
Do you have anything you want to add to that? I mean, I'm trying to stay on topic about the trades. I mean, even if you have a personal story, anecdotes, is there anything you want to add to that?
Just kind of mentioning, as far as like whenever I was talking to the different schools, just the kinds of things that they're needing. It's just sad that like the schools that do have these technical schools don't have the equipment. They don't have the teachers. They don't have any of the resources that could be readily available or donated or whatnot that they need to be able to keep these programs going. That it's very important that we just find ways to get that awareness out there in education. Because like I said, most parents don't even know. And you want, as a parent, you want your kid to be successful. You want them to have the best life. And if someone came to you and said, hey, should you send your kid to this, college for this or this, or do you want them to go work on trucks? Without no education and knowing what they're really asking you, they're going to steer their kid to obviously the college course. So I think just getting that out in the community and in schools, starting in elementary even, because by the time they're in middle school, they're planning their career paths. So it's just really important to get the education out there and the awareness out there that this is something that you can build a profession on. You can start your own company. You can be your entrepreneur. It doesn't mean that you're going to turn riches for the rest of your life, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's something to be proud of. And I think that's a stigma, that we have to beat down as a whole, that there's nothing wrong with these trade professions. We need them. They're important.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with going to college to learn the trade. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with going to a technical college and getting a 2-year degree. I mean, that's what I did. I went to a technical college and got my associate's degree in diesel technology. And it's provided a great life for so many people. And so many shop owners, they identify as a technician, but it's like you're a business owner. Like I get that fixing trucks is what got you into owning a business, but you're really a business owner. You're creating jobs for other people. You're paying taxes. Owning a diesel shop, that it's equipment intensive. So you're dumping a lot of that money back into the local economy and, buying fuel and buying trucks from the local dealers. So it's really an industry that supports a lot of local businesses that I think you're right. It's like sometimes the trades get treated like a second-class citizen, and they do make good money. And there's nothing wrong with doing that type of work. And it would be nice too, though, as a whole, if our society did support the technical colleges more. And there's plenty of it out there. Like when we started our school, I went to the local junkyard and said, hey, I need 9 drive shafts because I have to teach the students how to take a U-joint in and out. And the guys were like, literally go out to the pile and take whatever you want. Like you can have it. You don't have to pay us for it.
Yeah.
I mean, our local dealership, I reached out to the local Mac dealer and said, hey, because they had a used parts division. I said, hey, we'd like to buy a running engine. And they're like, yeah, we got this perfect one for you. And I'm like, how much? They're like, oh, you can just have it. It's got too much blow by. We can't sell it. It's not a good motor. You can just have it. And so you're right. There are so many resources out there to help these technical colleges that I think people overlook.
Right. And my husband grew up in the industry. He grew up, he finished high school, but he was working with his family, back then, from the very beginning till he's always identified as a technician. So whenever we did start actually owning the business and he was kind of taken out of that technician role, it was a little bit of adjustment for him because he's like, I'm a technician. This is very different. But I also think that has helped us in a lot of ways because he has that technician standpoint background. And so the way we do our business, we always have a version or a vision from each side to where we can make it work. So it's cohesive how we do things, I guess, for lack of a better word, which just makes things a lot easier and it helps us be a lot more successful.
Ashley, tell me about what you're doing for continuing education. Like, are you doing any continuing education to keep your technicians engaged and make sure they don't leave the marketplace and leave the industry?
Yes, we have different sources or different types of resources that are online classes or even places they can go. Any type of management classes that they want to do, any type of leadership, or if they want to eventually go into those roles, we do give them a source for that, and we'll even pay for it. And as long as they stay with the company, they don't have to pay anything back. So we do also when they take those classes, they get their name in that raffle I was talking about. So we very much incentivize them to keep learning, keep going, and not get discouraged if there's ever a point where they want to move into a different position, that they have all the tools that they need to. We also do career path talks when we do our reviews, so we can start seeing to make sure that they're happy in what they're doing, or if they see themselves in 5 years, in 5 years, I'd really like to be here. We can start planning for that, and we can also start getting them what they need to get there. So again, if they're happy in what they're doing and they know that they're going to get to their end goal, and it's a shared vision, and it's going to keep us going in the direction we want to go, then we want to make sure that they're staying on that career path that they have planned for themselves.
And I think that's a valid point. I think it shows technicians and employees that when you're willing to invest in them that way, that you trust them, that you don't just view them as a production person or somebody on a factory floor that's easily replaced. And I think that's a valid point that a lot of shop owners need to really think hard about is how is your message, or what are your employees thinking of what's going on, right? Like, is that something that you do? Like, how are you knowing that your employees are engaged? Because I know that's so hard as a business owner. You get so busy and you're doing this, you're doing that. Do you have scheduled time where you check in with employees and they can come to you one-on-one?
We have an open door policy, so anytime that they know they can come talk to anybody at the office, whether it's leadership or somebody in HR or whatever. But when we do our reviews, that's kind of when we do our check-ins. Our reviews are twofold. The supervisor does their review, and then the employee does their own self-review. And in the self-review, at the end, there's questions about, what do you need from the company? Where do you feel like you're at in the company? What do you feel like you need or want? So there's like questions like that to show where they are and what they're feeling. And then nobody sees each other's input until the day of the review. And then we review it together at the same time. So we make sure that we're aligning all the time. So we kind of reconcile that, if that makes sense.
It does. It really does. And I think that's so important to even have an informal check-in with your employee. Like, one of our things we did was we told supervisors they had to have a quarterly check-in. It wasn't formal. It wasn't like it was an annual review. It was just sit down for 2-3 minutes, tell me about what's going on, everything good. And it's a little bit, sometimes when you can get the tech out of the shop for a couple minutes, they're a little bit more open. Or even one of the things we would do is we would take technicians to lunch at least once a year and get them out of the shop for a little bit. Sometimes they'll open up a little bit more and you learn something really useful about them, about their lives and how you can help them in their lives.
We do a summer bowling league. So we have anybody in the company can join the bowling league. So we did Wednesdays. It was a chance to see, what's going on in their life, how involved they want to be, and the fact that they wanted to do that and still be with their coworkers after hours voluntarily. That was good.
That is a sign that your employees like each other enough when they're willing to show up to do things on their own time, like picnics and bowling and that. And so, well, Ashley, thank you for coming and joining us and telling us about your shop culture and how that's really helped your key to success on that.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll be back again with episode 3 with Jordan Steele from Six Gun Diesel.
Thanks for tuning in to Diesel Stories. Be sure to follow the show on your favorite podcast platform and join us next time for more shop talk, insights, and stories from the diesel repair world.